The vast emptiness of space was filled with an unseen tension. In the grand meeting hall of the Galactic Council, aliens of all shapes and sizes gathered. Their faces, whether covered in scales, fur, or smooth skin, all showed the same emotion: fear. Zaxlor, the leader of the council, stood up. His tall blue form towered over the others. With 4 arms, he gestured for silence. The room, already quiet, became as still as the vacuum of space. "Fellow beings of the galaxy," Zaxlor began, his voice deep and worried. "We face a threat unlike any we have seen before." On the big screen behind him, images appeared. They showed entire planets turning dark, their lights going out one by one. In other pictures, strange ships moved through space, leaving destruction in their wake. "The Void Eaters have returned," Zaxlor said. The room erupted in panic. Some aliens cried out, others tried to leave, and a few even fainted. Zaxlor raised all 4 of his arms again. "Please, we must stay calm," he shouted over the noise. Slowly, order returned to the room. An alien with green skin and large eyes spoke up. "What can we do? The Void Eaters destroy our ancestors' empires. We are not strong enough to fight them." Murmurs of agreement filled the room. Zaxlor looked around, his eyes sad. "You are right, Gleebok. Our weapons are useless against them. Our shields cannot stop them. We must retreat." The words hung in the air like a heavy fog. Retreat meant abandoning countless worlds, leaving billions to face the Void Eaters alone. But to many in the room, it seemed like the only choice. Then a small voice spoke up. "What about the humans?" All eyes turned to Pip, a tiny furry creature no bigger than a child's toy. Pip stood on the table, shaking slightly but speaking clearly. "The humans on Earth. They're new to space travel, but they're tough. Maybe they can help." For a moment, there was silence. Then laughter erupted across the room. Gleebok wiped tears from his large eyes. "The humans? Those cowards. They can't even agree among themselves, let alone face the Void Eaters." Zaxlor raised a hand for quiet. "Pip, your suggestion comes from a good place, but the humans are primitive. They've only just learned to leave their planet. They spend more time fighting each other than looking to the stars. How could they possibly help us?" Pip didn't back down. "But that's just it. They know how to fight. They've faced hard times before. Maybe they can see something we can't." The room fell silent again. Zaxlor stroked his chin with one hand, thinking. It's true, the humans are different. They've survived challenges that should have destroyed them. But this is beyond anything they've faced. Another alien, this one covered in metallic scales, spoke up. "What do we have to lose? If we're retreating anyway, why not tell the humans? At worst, they'll die with the rest. At best, well, who knows?" Zaxlor nodded slowly. "You make a fair point, Kresk. Very well. We will inform Earth of the situation. But I warn you all, do not get your hopes up. The humans are more likely to hide in fear than to help." As the meeting ended, the aliens filed out. Many wore looks of defeat, others of fear. But a few, like Pip, had a tiny spark of hope in their eyes. Far away on a blue and green planet called Earth, humans went about their daily lives. They worked, played, loved, and fought, unaware that the fate of the galaxy was about to land on their shoulders. In a small observatory on Earth, a young astronomer named Sarah peered through her telescope. She gasped as she saw something strange moving across the sky. "What in the world is that?" she whispered to herself. Little did Sarah know, she was seeing the first signs of the Void Eaters entering Earth's solar system. The cowardly humans were about to face the greatest challenge in the history of the galaxy. And despite what the aliens thought, they were far from ready to give up without a fight. Sarah's discovery spread quickly. Within days, the whole world knew about the strange objects in space. At first, many people didn't believe it. They thought it was just another crazy story on the internet. But then the aliens came. It was a quiet Tuesday morning when the massive ship appeared over New York City. People stopped in the streets, looking up with open mouths. Cars crashed as drivers forgot to watch the road. In other cities around the world, more ships appeared. In Washington, D.C., President Laura Chen sat in the Oval Office. Her face was serious as she looked at the group of people around her. There were generals in uniform, scientists with messy hair, and politicians in neat suits. "What do we know?" President Chen asked. A tall man in a lab coat stepped forward. This was Dr. James Wong, Earth's top scientist. "The aliens call themselves the Galactic Council," he said. "They say they come in peace, but with a warning." Dr. Wong pressed a button, and a hologram appeared in the middle of the room. It showed strange, scary-looking ships destroying planets. "These are the Void Eaters," Dr. Wong explained. "The aliens say they're coming here next. They've destroyed many worlds already." The room was silent. Then General Maria Alvarez spoke up. "Can we fight them?" she asked. Dr. Wong shook his head. "The aliens say their weapons don't work against the Void Eaters. Ours probably won't either." President Chen stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the alien ship hovering over the city. "What do the aliens want from us?" she asked. "That's the strange part," Dr. Wong said. "They don't want anything. They just came to warn us. They're retreating, leaving this part of the galaxy." Everyone in the room looked shocked. General Alvarez frowned. "They're running away, leaving us to face these Void Eaters alone." Dr. Wong nodded. "They think we're too primitive to help. They called us cowards." President Chen turned around, her eyes flashing with anger. "Cowards? Us?" She walked back to her desk and pressed a button. "Get me a line to every world leader. Now." An hour later, President Chen stood in front of cameras, speaking to the whole world. Billions of people watched on TVs, phones, and computers. "My fellow humans," she began. "Today, we face the greatest threat in our history. Aliens have come to warn us of a terrible danger. Many worlds have already fallen to these Void Eaters. The aliens are retreating, leaving us to face this threat alone." She paused, looking straight into the camera. "They think we're cowards. They think we'll hide or run away. They don't know us very well, do they?" Around the world, people nodded and cheered. "We've faced big challenges before," President Chen continued. "We've survived ice ages and plagues. We've explored every corner of our world, and now we're reaching for the stars. We don't run from danger. We face it together." In a small town, a firefighter nodded as he watched. In a big city, a nurse smiled as she listened. On a farm, a family held hands, their eyes glued to the screen. "I've spoken to leaders around the world," President Chen said. "We all agree. Earth will not hide. We will not run. We will stand and fight." The world erupted in cheers. In New York, people shouted and hugged under the alien ship. In Tokyo, crowds gathered in the streets, chanting, "Earth, Earth." In Lagos, people danced and sang. Back in the Oval Office, President Chen turned off the TV. She looked at her advisors. "Okay," she said, "let's get to work. We have a planet to save." As night fell, lights blazed in labs, factories, and military bases around the world. Humans weren't going to give up without a fight. The aliens had called them cowards, but soon the galaxy would learn just how brave humans could be. The world changed overnight. Streets that were once busy with cars now saw tanks and military vehicles. Parks became training grounds. Schools turned into planning centers. Everyone had a job to do, and everyone was doing it. In a secret underground lab, Dr. Wong hunched over a strange device. It looked like a mix between a satellite dish and a blender. He adjusted some wires, then stepped back. "Okay, let's try it again," he said to his team. A young scientist named Aisha pressed a button. The device hummed to life, glowing with a soft blue light. On a screen nearby, they saw a piece of metal start to bend and twist. "It's working," Aisha shouted. "The gravity manipulator is working." Dr. Wong smiled. "Good. If the Void Eaters can eat light, let's see how they handle changed gravity." Across the ocean, in a field in Kenya, General Alvarez watched as farmers showed soldiers how to use their tools. "You see," an old farmer named Muthomi said, "the plow goes deep into the earth. It turns over the soil." The soldiers nodded, taking notes. General Alvarez looked confused. "But how does this help us fight?" she asked. Muthomi smiled. "The Void Eaters eat light, yes, but they must land to do real damage. If we can't shoot them, maybe we can trap them in the earth." General Alvarez's eyes widened. "Brilliant," she said. "We'll need bigger plows, but this could work." Meanwhile, in the mountains of Nepal, a group of climbers met with military engineers. "The thin air up here is like space," a climber named Paiseng explained. "We've learned to survive where others can't breathe. Maybe this can help your spacesuits." The engineers listened closely, drawing designs for new suits that could help humans fight in space. In Australia's outback, Aboriginal elders shared ancient stories with scientists. "Our people have watched the stars for thousands of years," Elder Auntie Marie said. "We know their patterns, their movements. If anything is different up there, we'll spot it first." The scientists set up advanced telescopes, guided by the elders' knowledge of the night sky. Back in Washington, President Chen met with leaders from around the world. But this wasn't a normal meeting. Artists sat next to generals. Chefs talked with engineers. Writers worked with scientists. "We need all ideas," President Chen said. "Big or small, crazy or simple. The Void Eaters won't expect human creativity." A chef from France stood up. "We know heat affects light," he said. "What if we use our cooking techniques to create massive heat shields?" An artist from Brazil raised her hand. "Light bounces off mirrors. Could we make huge space mirrors to confuse the Void Eaters?" Ideas flowed like water. No suggestion was too strange. Humans were using every bit of knowledge they had, from ancient wisdom to modern science. In orbit around Earth, the alien ships watched in amazement. Zaxlor stood on the bridge of his ship, his forearms crossed. "I don't understand," he said to his crew. "The humans should be panicking, running. But look at them." On the screens, they saw humans working together, building, planning, training. Pip, the small furry alien, bounced with excitement. "I told you, humans are special. They're not running. They're getting ready to fight." Zaxlor shook his head. "But how can they hope to win? Their technology is so primitive compared to the Void Eaters." As if to answer him, a test rocket shot up from Earth. It was carrying one of Dr. Wong's gravity devices. As it reached space, the device activated. Suddenly, the rocket changed direction impossibly, dancing around like it was alive. Zaxlor's eyes widened. "How did they? That's not possible with their technology." Pip laughed. "I think, sir, we're learning that with humans. Anything is possible." As the sun set on Earth, lights blazed in every city, town, and village. Humans weren't sleeping. They were preparing. The galaxy had called them cowards, but humans were about to show the universe what real courage looked like. The day everyone feared finally arrived. Earth's new space sensors lit up like a Christmas tree. The Void Eaters had entered the solar system. In the newly built Global Defense Center, President Chen stood surrounded by screens. Each one showed a different part of Earth's defenses. She took a deep breath. "This is it," she said. "Sound the alarm." All over the world, sirens wailed. People who had trained for months rushed to their positions. It was time to see if all their preparation would pay off. High above Earth, a fleet of hastily built spaceships waited. They weren't as sleek or advanced as alien ships, but they were sturdy and packed with human ingenuity. Captain Yuki Tanaka sat in the commander's chair of the flagship, Earth Hope. Her hands shook slightly, but her voice was steady as she spoke to her crew. "Remember your training," she said. "We're humanity's first line of defense. Let's show these Void Eaters what humans can do." The first Void Eater ships appeared on their screens. They were huge, dark shapes that seemed to swallow the stars around them. Captain Tanaka swallowed hard. "All ships, activate gravity shields." Dr. Wong's invention hummed to life on each ship. The Void Eaters shot beams of dark energy, but when they hit the gravity shields, they bent away harmlessly. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then Captain Tanaka grinned. It worked. All ships, attack pattern Alpha. Earth's ships swarmed around the larger Void Eaters. They were smaller and more agile, darting in and out like angry bees. The Void Eaters seemed confused, their attacks missing more often than not. But the battle was far from over. A massive Void Eater ship broke through the human defenses. It headed straight for Earth. "We can't stop it," shouted Captain Tanaka. "Earth defense, it's coming your way." On the ground, General Alvarez stood in a field of giant plows. "This is it. People, remember the plan." As the Void Eater ship entered the atmosphere, it started to glow red-hot. But instead of crashing, it slowed down, hovering just above the ground. A hole opened in its bottom, and dark shapes began to pour out. "Now," shouted General Alvarez. The giant plows roared to life. They charged forward, their blades digging deep into the earth. The ground under the Void Eater troops began to churn and shift. The alien creatures screeched in surprise. They tried to move, but the unstable ground made it difficult. Many fell into the deep furrows created by the plows. Meanwhile, on another part of the planet, the Aboriginal elders worked with the scientists. They pointed out tiny changes in the sky that the computers had missed. "There!" shouted Auntie Marie. "That dark spot wasn't there before." The scientists quickly aimed their new weapons, enormous mirrors that reflected concentrated sunlight. The beam hit the hidden Void Eater ship, making it visible. "Got you!" a scientist yelled. They relayed the coordinates to the space fleet. Back in space, Captain Tanaka received the information. "All ships, focus fire on these coordinates." The human fleet turned as one, unleashing everything they had on the revealed Void Eater ship. Under the combined assault, the alien vessel shuddered and then exploded in a burst of dark energy. A cheer went up from the human ships, but their celebration was short-lived. More Void Eater ships were appearing. "There's so many of them," whispered Captain Tanaka. In the Global Defense Center, President Chen watched the battle unfold. The humans were fighting bravely, but they were outnumbered. She clenched her fists. "We need more time," she said. "We're not beaten yet." Just then, Dr. Wong burst into the room. "President Chen, I think I've found their weakness." As Dr. Wong explained his discovery, a spark of hope lit up in President Chen's eyes. Maybe, just maybe, humanity had a chance. The battle raged on. Humans had won the first round, but the war was far from over. The galaxy watched in amazement as the supposedly cowardly humans stood their ground against the terrifying Void Eaters. This fight was just beginning. Dr. Wong's discovery spread quickly through Earth's defenses. The Void Eaters had a weakness, and it was something uniquely human that had found it. "Music?" Captain Tanaka asked, her face confused on the video call. "You want us to fight with music?" Dr. Wong nodded excitedly. "Not just any music. Very specific frequencies. The Void Eaters communicate using complex wave patterns. Our music, especially certain types, disrupts their communication. It's like a jam signal, but one they never expected." President Chen leaned forward. "How do we use this?" "We broadcast it," Dr. Wong said. "Loudly. Everywhere. Within hours, every radio station, TV channel, and internet stream on Earth was carrying the same message. Play music, as loud as you can. Every instrument, every speaker. The world depends on it." People were confused, but they followed the instructions. Soon, the biggest concert in human history began. In New York, jazz bands set up in the streets. In Rio, samba dancers shook to the beat of drums. In Mumbai, classical Indian ragas filled the air. Every style of music from every culture blended into a global symphony. Up in space, Captain Tanaka watched in awe as her ship's speakers came to life. "All ships," she ordered, "aim your broadcast arrays at the Void Eater fleet. Full power." The human ships turned as one, directing a wave of sound into space. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the Void Eater ships began to move erratically. "It's working," shouted Captain Tanaka. All ships pressed the attack. On Earth, the giant plows continued to churn the ground, trapping more Void Eater troops. But now, they moved to the beat of the music blasting from mounted speakers. General Alvarez couldn't help but tap her foot as she directed the battle. "Who knew we'd be saving the world with a dance party?" she laughed. In Australia, the Aboriginal elders led a traditional song, their voices joining the global chorus. The nearby scientists noticed something on their screens. "The Void Eater's energy signatures are changing," one yelled. "They're becoming visible." All around the world, people could now see the Void Eaters clearly. Without their invisibility, they seemed less terrifying. Beams of light from the giant mirrors found their targets easily now. In space, the battle had turned. The human fleet, moving to the beat of Earth's music, danced around the confused Void Eater ships. Captain Tanaka's voice rang out over the comms, singing an old Japanese battle song as she ordered another attack run. The Void Eaters were in chaos. Their ships collided with each other, their weapons fired wildly into empty space. They had never faced an enemy like this before. In the Global Defense Center, President Chen watched the battle screens with hope. "We're winning," she whispered. Then louder, "We're winning." But the fight wasn't over yet. The largest Void Eater ship, bigger than a city, was pushing through the musical assault. It was heading straight for Earth. "All ships, focus fire on the big one," Captain Tanaka ordered. But even with all their firepower, they couldn't stop its advance. Dr. Wong burst into the room again, out of breath. "President Chen, I have an idea, but it's crazy." At this point, "Doctor," Chen said, "I'll take crazy." Dr. Wong explained quickly. Chen's eyes widened, then she nodded. "Do it." Minutes later, every screen on Earth showed the same message. "Sing. Everyone, sing together. One song, one voice." As the massive Void Eater ship entered Earth's atmosphere, a miracle happened. Billions of human voices joined together, singing the same simple tune. The sound rose up, a wall of human unity and defiance. The Void Eater ship shuddered. It stopped its descent, hovering uncertainly. Then, cracks appeared in its dark surface. Light poured out from inside. In space, on land, and in the air, humans pressed their advantage. The Void Eaters were falling back, overwhelmed by the power of human creativity and unity. As the battle turned decisively in Earth's favor, the watching alien races could hardly believe their eyes. The cowardly humans hadn't just stood their ground. They were winning. The galaxy was about to learn an important lesson. Never underestimate the power of human ingenuity, especially when backed into a corner. As the sounds of battle began to fade, a new noise filled the air. It was the cheering of billions of humans, celebrating their unexpected victory. But even as people hugged and danced in the streets, their leaders knew the fight wasn't over yet. In the Global Defense Center, President Chen looked at the tired but happy faces around her. "We've won a great victory," she said, "but the Void Eaters are still out there. We need to take the fight to them." Dr. Wong nodded. "But how? Our ships can't travel far into space yet." Just then, a young aide burst into the room. "Madam President, the alien ships are back." Everyone froze. Had the Void Eaters returned? But when they looked at the screens, they saw something different. These were the ships of the Galactic Council, the ones who had warned Earth about the Void Eaters. High above Earth, Zaxlor stood on the bridge of his ship, all four of his arms crossed. He looked at the planet below, where signs of battle were still visible, but Earth still stood, and the Void Eaters were gone. I don't believe it, he said softly. They actually did it. Pip, the small furry alien, bounced excitedly next to him. I told you, humans are amazing. Can we talk to them now? Please. Zaxlor nodded slowly. Yes, I think it's time we had a real conversation with the humans. On Earth, people watched in awe as the alien ships descended. This time, they didn't stop high in the sky. They landed right in the middle of New York City's Central Park. President Chen, along with Dr. Wong, General Alvarez, and Captain Tanaka, went to meet them. As they approached the ships, a door opened, and out stepped Zaxlor, followed by a group of diverse alien beings. For a moment, both groups just stared at each other. Then Zaxlor stepped forward and bowed deeply. People of Earth, he said, his voice translated by a small device, we owe you an apology, and our deepest thanks. President Chen smiled. We're just glad we could help. But I have a feeling you're not just here to say thanks. Zaxlor nodded. You're right. We've come to ask for your help. The Void Eaters are still out there, threatening other worlds. We, the Galactic Council, we need you. A murmur went through the crowd that had gathered to watch. Humans, needed by advanced aliens. It seemed impossible. Dr. Wong stepped forward. But our technology, we can't travel through space like you can. A tall, silver alien next to Zaxlor spoke up. We can help with that. Your ideas, combined with our technology. Together, we might be able to end the Void Eater threat forever. General Alvarez grinned. A joint mission to save the galaxy. Sounds like fun. Captain Tanaka nodded eagerly. My crew and I are ready. Just point us in the right direction. President Chen looked at her team, then back at the aliens. It seems we have a lot to discuss, shall we? As the human leaders and alien representatives walked off to talk, the crowd began to cheer again. News spread quickly across the globe. Humans weren't just survivors now. They were going to be galactic heroes. In the days that followed, Earth became a hive of activity. Alien technology merged with human creativity, creating ships and weapons unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. The plows that had trapped Void Eaters on Earth were adapted into massive space tractors. The gravity manipulators were improved to allow for faster-than-light travel. And at the heart of every new ship and weapon was a sound system, ready to broadcast the music that had turned the tide of battle. As the joint human-alien fleet prepared to leave Earth, people from all over the world gathered to watch. Children sat on their parents' shoulders, waving flags. Bands played triumphant music. It felt like the whole world was holding its breath, ready for a new adventure. On the bridge of the new flagship, Freedom Song, Captain Tanaka looked at her crew. Humans worked side by side with aliens, each learning from the other. Ready for takeoff, Captain, her first officer, a blue-skinned alien named Kresk, reported. Captain Tanaka nodded. Let's go save the galaxy. As the ships rose into the sky, humanity looked to the stars not with fear, but with hope and determination. The aliens had called them cowards, but humans had proved to be the bravest beings in the galaxy. Now they were ready to show the universe what they could really do. The greatest adventure in human history was about to begin. The joint human-alien fleet, led by the Freedom Song, had been traveling for weeks. They had fought many battles, freeing planets from the Void Eaters' control. Each victory made them stronger, as more alien races joined their cause. Captain Tanaka stood on the bridge, looking at the diverse crew around her. Humans worked alongside beings of all shapes and sizes. She smiled, remembering how far they had come. Captain, Kresk called out, we're approaching the Void Eaters' homeworld. The crew fell silent. This was it, the final battle. On the main screen, a dark planet appeared. It seemed to swallow all light around it. Surrounding the planet was the largest fleet of Void Eater ships they had ever seen. Captain Tanaka took a deep breath. All ships, battle stations, and start the music. Throughout the fleet, speakers came to life. The song that had saved Earth now filled space, a melody of hope and defiance. The Void Eaters attacked first, their dark energy beams shooting towards the Allied fleet. But the ships danced away, moving to the rhythm of the music. Human pilots, who had practiced their maneuvers to music, led the way. "Now," shouted Captain Tanaka. The Allied fleet responded with a barrage of weapons. Gravity beams twisted space around the Void Eater ships. Giant space plows, inspired by the farms of Earth, churned up asteroids and flung them at the enemy. And through it all, the music played on, disrupting the Void Eaters' communication. On Earth, billions watched the battle through a live feed. In the Global Defense Center, President Chen gripped the edge of her desk, her knuckles white. Dr. Wong burst in, waving a tablet. "Madam President, I've made a breakthrough," he explained quickly, pointing at diagrams on his screen. President Chen's eyes widened. She turned to the communication officer. "Get me Captain Tanaka. Now." Back in space, the battle raged on. The Allied fleet was holding its own, but the Void Eaters seemed endless. Captain Tanaka was about to order another attack when her screen lit up with an incoming message. "Captain," President Chen's voice came through. "Dr. Wong has found a way to end this, but it's risky." As the president explained the plan, Captain Tanaka's face grew serious. "Understood," she said finally. "We'll make it work." She turned to her crew. "All hands, prepare for Operation Harmony." The Allied fleet began to move in a complex pattern, herding the Void Eater ships into a specific formation. On the Freedom Song, Dr. Wong's new device hummed to life. "Ready, Captain," Krusk reported. Captain Tanaka nodded. "Broadcast on all frequencies, every ship, every planet. Let's show them what unity really means." Across the galaxy, on every world touched by the conflict, a new song began to play. It wasn't just human music this time. It was a symphony of sounds from every alien race in the Alliance, the song of a united galaxy. The effect on the Void Eaters was immediate. Their ships stopped in confusion. The dark planet seemed to shudder. "Full power to the Harmony beam," Captain Tanaka ordered. A blinding light shot out from the Freedom Song, carrying the music straight to the heart of the Void Eater world. For a moment, everything seemed to freeze. Then, slowly, the darkness began to fade. The Void Eater ships flickered, becoming transparent. The black planet started to glow. "It's working," someone shouted. The light grew brighter and brighter. Everyone had to shield their eyes. When they could see again, they gasped in amazement. Where the Void Eater planet had been, there was now a shining star. The Void Eater ships were gone, replaced by twinkling lights that danced in space. We did it," Captain Tanaka whispered. Then louder, "We did it." The cheer that went up could be heard across the galaxy. On Earth, people poured into the streets, hugging strangers and dancing with joy. In the days that followed, the true impact of their victory became clear. The Void Eaters hadn't been destroyed. They had been transformed, returned to their original form as beings of light and music. As the Allied fleet returned home, they were greeted as heroes on every world. But nowhere was the celebration bigger than on Earth. The Galactic Council officially welcomed Earth as a full member. Zaxlor, speaking to a global audience, said, "We called humans cowards. We were wrong. Humanity has taught us all the true meaning of courage." President Chen, standing next to him, smiled. "We're just glad we could help, and we're excited to see what we can all achieve together." As night fell on Earth, people looked up at the stars with new eyes. They weren't just distant lights anymore. They were new friends, new adventures, new homes. The galaxy had called them cowards, but humans had proved to be the heroes the universe needed. And this was just the beginning.